So, I haven't studied law myself, but there are certain people that have made me to have so much interest in law. And I look up to these people and I follow their work. People like Advocate Tembeka Toby, people like Advocate Dalim Bofu, people like the former Deputy Chief Justice, Dikgang Moseneke, people like the current Chief Justice, Mkhweng, people like Advocate Raymond Zondo, and a lot, your Belarus, your Grinals, and everything like that. And I just realized that actually law is actually at the center of society, but then someone like you who's practicing law, maybe the question that I would ask is to say, what are those basic law things that as general public we should know? Like, these are basic things that as the public we should know. I was reading the other day about wills. A will, that thing that you leave after you die and your assets going to be apportioned or distributed in this way. I find that to be actually something that I think as the general public we should actually have that kind of knowledge, because in most cases, especially in Black families, you find that people are fighting over the assets of the deceased and everything like that. So what are those basic law things that you as a practicing law, or someone who's practicing law, you feel like we should actually, things like marrying in community of property, marrying outside of community of property, those are things that in some way they affect us, especially people who are going to be getting into marriage and everything like that, but we don't have time to sort of acquaint ourselves with those things. So just take us through the basic things that you feel like when coming to law, the general public should just understand.
It's a difficult one. The joke that I generally make with people, when I used to visit high schools and motivate people to study and apply into institutions of higher learning,
sure,
I would say that 2 degrees that you need to choose from. One, it's law, and anything else.
Sure.
That should be your first option.
Yeah.
Because before you do anything in your life, you must first ask yourself, is this legal? Does the law allow me to do this? I mean, simple thing like walking even. If you wanted to walk from your house to the shop, think about it. Does the law allow it? Okay, there's freedom of movement. It means I can walk around. But these are the things, as one would say, as a layman or lay person, one would not understand. So I always advise people to invite lawyers before you do any other thing. Before you do something and you think like, I'm not sure about this, invite a lawyer so that they can assist you with that. Sure. This is what we are taught to do. Things like if you are a 12-year-old, you are allowed to do an abortion. These are the things that if you go back home, a parent would not allow a child to do that. I mean, in fact, they're not thinking that a 12-year-old could be sexually active. But this is what the law says. This is what the law gives to this person. Simple things like chastising a child, beating up a child, such things are not allowed. You do that, they say that's child abuse. You've assaulted the child. So generally I would tell people that before you get yourself into any other thing, and this is what the people do, they would have doubts about something, but do it anyway. After that, they would call me when they realize that they are now in trouble and say that, I just had 2 glasses of wine and decided to drive home. Now I'm stopped by the police. What should I do? I'm like, that's stupid. You are not supposed to drink in the first place. There are certain things that people do out of stupidity that will land them into trouble. I had this other guy who, a friend of mine, or someone that I know rather, stole a chocolate from a store, and after that he was arrested. Now you have a criminal record. You come with your vet degree, a vet law degree. You can't practice anywhere in the world because you've got a criminal record. you can't even be admitted as a lawyer. So people must avoid doing stupid things. Avoid doing stupid things. If you know that you are going to drink, stay at home. Don't do funny things. Having a sexual intercourse with a minor who's 15 years old, that's statutory rape. Whether she consented to it or not, that is a rape. You'll go to prison for that. So our people must avoid doing stupid things. I feel like if you're going to ask out a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old, men have got, I don't know. I think it's an illness of some sort. You decide to date this young woman, you have a sexual intercourse with her. After that, when they call police on you and say that this is a minor, no, this is my girlfriend, we are dating, the court is not going to take that. You'll still go to prison for that. And so most of the time I would say this is stupidity that we need to stay away from. There are certain people that you must cut out of your life. I mean, now you're doing your PhD at Vets. There are certain people from back home that you grew up with. I need to distance myself from this, away from these people. And I'll give you an example with that. A guy that we graduated with, a guy who studied law with us, after they've graduated, the parents decided to buy the other one a car.
Sure.
So it's like, let's drive around. This is my new world. So let's drive around and rebone pleke, rebone batho. As they drive off, another friend of theirs shows up. A friend of the driver, of the guy who's been bought a car. Sure. So it's like, I can pinch up, we grew up together, and he can tag along. Let's go with him. We're just going around for a test drive and all that. He sits in the back. The two other guys are in the front seat, right? So they're playing music, but because he wants to change the song, he keeps, going in and pressing the radio. So the guy who's sitting in the front is like, Joe, come sit this side so that I can sit at the back so that you can switch the songs and play the ones that you like.
Sure.
Fine. He goes in the front, this one comes at the back. Before they can even drive for 5 minutes, few kilometers drive, they are stopped by the police. And police are allowed to do a random check at any time.
Yeah.
They're like, gentlemen, come out of the car. The two who are in the front, they come out. The one who switched to the back, as he's about to walk out, there's a drop of something that falls off the ground. Then the cops are like, hey, what are you dropping there? It's like, when they check, they find that these are drugs, cocaine.
Ooh. Yes.
The cocaine belonged to the guy who switched and decided to go in the front. But no, he doesn't say, that's mine. When the cops are questioning this one, he keeps quiet. And this one's like, but they are not mine. The law says that you must be in possession of that substance for you to be arrested. Sure. So now, based on what we have, this guy the drug CDR. So now he's arrested. Now you go to prison, even if they release you after a couple of years, but now you've got a criminal record for being in possession of cocaine. So again, we should not be stupid. There are certain people that you must cut out. Stay away from such people, Faith. Not that you are being arrogant or you but this is how life is. There are certain things and certain people that you must outgrow. Now I've grown up, I don't entertain 1, 2, and 3. I stay away from this kind of things. So there are many legalities that people should know, but people do not know them. When a person passes on without a will, they apply Interstate Succession Act, which means that the first person who's going to inherit, if you are married, it's your partner. The partner will take a half. After, with the 50% that is remaining, your children and the same partner will share that. That is if you are in community of property. Then if you don't have a partner, you pass this on, your children are entitled to everything that you have. But in rural areas where I come from, you find malume arano or rangwana tuje. You know, these are my brother's belongings.
Sure.
They come to me.
Sure.
Or the mother of the deceased, she will come and say that these are my children stuff. I'll take everything that belongs to this. You do not do that. Everything that the person has must go to the children. If there are no children, that's where they would move it maybe to, we check the parent. If there's no parent, then we move it to the siblings. You know, that's how it goes. But our people are not aware of these things. So generally what I would say is that, you know, listen to your conscience. If you've got a doubt about something, if there's something that you are not clear about, call a lawyer. You know, if you get arrested for speeding or for, you know, violating some of the lockdown rules, before you sign off anything, call a lawyer, because some of the things will have a huge impact on your life. You know, you might find yourself, they say that, no, we find that you are in contravention of Act so and so during the lockdown. You can pay 500 fine and then go home. You know, you're not going to spend the night in custody in the cells. And most people who do that, not realizing that the documents that you sign, some of them, it's an admission of guilt for a serious offense, which means that at the end of the day, you're going to have a criminal record. And you'll only realize that 5 years down the line, when you want to apply for visa, you want to go, you know, outside the country, you have to apply for visa. Your visa cannot be approved because you've got a criminal record. You want to apply for a job. Some of the jobs, they require you to be clean. When they shake your fingers, no, this person has got a criminal record, then you cannot be, you know, provided with whatever that you need because of what you have done, you know, unknowingly. So as a person, you're really not going to know everything. But most of the time, if there's something that you do not understand, seek a legal advice. You know, wills are important, especially if you've got assets. If you've got assets, then you can talk to a lawyer, then they help you draft your will that in case I pass on, this is how I want my assets to be distributed. Yes.
Yeah. I'm telling you, those things are important, and you know, it's not things that crosses our mind, you know, on everyday living, to check on the legalities of things, and unfortunately,
funny enough, with our parents, especially the mothers, after the father had passed on, they've got this thing, you know, when they are mourning udula mandrasing for about maybe 3 months. You are not, they're not allowed to go outside or leave the house. They cannot do certain things. By the time when the mother is seated madrasing, the uncle, you know, in English is funny because your father's brother is with us.
Uncle.
It's a small father or bigger father. But in English, you know, we say it's an uncle, even though so, but your uncle is the one who will be running around getting a letter of authority, which authorizes him to check his bank account, the deceased bank account, and be in control of them, to go to his place of employment and get all the things that are supposed to go to the family. When he gets there, it's like, here's the letter that allows me, that's the letter from the High Court. It allows me to take everything that belonged to the deceased. Well, Motswadi and I seated at home at Uchimantrasing. By the time everything fell, when you try going to his your deceased place of employment and other things, they're like, no, but there's someone who's already been here who has done 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Unless if you are one of those who are smart about these things. You know, when you get into a place of work and they make you sign all those policies, have a beneficiary that you know that this is someone, this is my sister. With some of them, if you don't have kids, you know, you can say 50% of what's going to remain here in case I pass on should go to my mother. And, you know, this other thing can go to my siblings. You know, this is how you'd want this thing to be distributed. Unlike after you pass it on, eba movango. Now you've got family, fighting for all the things that the father has left behind.
Yeah, no, it's quite sad sometimes, and I think. But the thing is, if we don't build a culture of knowing those things, then that's where the problem is going to be. Unless if maybe we start to build a culture to say, this is what you can do, this is what the law says, and everything like that. I mean, in other instances, you do have some sort of just programs that actually make people to be aware, to say, if you do this, this can get you here and everything like that. Why are we not having those kind of things, like public platforms or public programs that actually
the only place where you can have such is on social media. But one thing about social media, they don't take serious things seriously. They take funny things, and those are the things that they entertain. At home, we had one session that we called constitutional development for our villages, where you just invite people into a hall and you talk about legal matters, things that they must be aware to do's and not to do's. But our people do not take those things seriously until they get into trouble. It's like students who comes into your class unprepared. They just come and, some do not even come to class until it's exam time. Then they start panicking, they start asking questions. Our people, they are in trouble. That's when they start thinking that now we need to call a lawyer, And, for I would say, try up, upload serious things. On my WhatsApp, for instance, I upload, serious talks.
Sure.
But people rarely would say, share with me, send it to me. They don't say anything. But upload a funny video by Trevor Noah or EF members doing something funny in Parliament. People are very quick to say, please share it with me so that they can share it with the entire world. I don't know, there's something wrong with our society. You say something funny, they love it, they share it with everyone. Even at home, they would say to their parents, mama, look, this is so funny. There's a dog reading a book or something. But a serious talk, even with shows, people like Advocate Mukai Tobi, you'd give a lecture about my, and say, let's say we're going to hold it in a hall that takes about 100 people. Only 20 people are going to be there. Attend. Look, you are a PhD student. You understand this thing better than I do. When you go for seminars, when they say there's a book launch, there's a book review at VETS, go in and see how many students are there. Then tell them that Trevor Noah is coming on campus. He'll be, saying funny stuff. The hall will be packed to capacity. So there's just something wrong with our people. They don't take serious things seriously until they get into trouble. But when you say funny things, when you say stupid things, that's where you get people's attention.
And what do we attribute this for? Is it the media? Is it pop culture? What is it? Why are we like that?
I really do not know. At first, I used to blame apartheid. I used to say, no, our people were dealt with psychologically. But now you have young people who are exposed to all these things. Gone are the days where they'll say, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in black and white, put it in writing. Nowadays, our people read. But, serious things, are not taken seriously. And I wouldn't really know who is to blame for that. I can tell you, there's a guy who said that our people, most of the time, is because they are ignorant. I think it must be Leo Mohammed. And he said, no, black people are ignorant, whereas white people are curious. With a black person, even if you were to write, he said that in the UK, what they would do, they would write newspaper, journals that are aimed to inform and capacitate black people. And he says that they would even give that thing away for free and say, here's the journal for Black people, Black emancipation, go read it. You know, people would walk past and say, you know, Amandla, leadership, you know, and walk past. But white people are curious. A white person would come and say, what's that? And he'd say, no, it's a newspaper journal that is aimed at emancipating, you know, Black people. And a white person would go like, no, give me a copy, I want to read it. And he says, no, it's like, okay, it's fine, I'll even pay for it. So our people are just ignorant. You know, you do whatever that you want to do to help them, but it's something that they're not going to take serious. Whereas this other one, you know, this other race is curious. You know, they go after things. They want to understand, what does it mean? But with us now, man, you should see when we praise, when they praise someone for doing good on social media, very few people would praise them. But when we mock someone for doing a terrible thing, everyone will jump in and say something. So I think it's just ignorance on our part.
Yeah, and then actually, if you look into, now that you have mentioned Leo Mohammed, actually, if you look into those teachings that they do at the park there, and you look at the audience, in most cases, you find that in the audience, there is actually a lot, and the teaching is mainly for, you know, Black people, but in the audience, you'd find, you know, even the people who ask questions, who challenge him, it will be, you know, white people. So it's quite, what you're saying actually is
it's disturbing. It's disturbing.